everything was frozen in time upon the defendant's arrest. We were never going to find this body here. We were not looking here. We had no idea that the body would be here. So this case was as it was on the day of his arrest, which would have made for a second-degree murder case potentially based upon the statements of Mr. Williams, which, let me state unequivocally, were at all times lies and manipulation. So after I informed the victim's family of the strengths and the weaknesses and the potential pitfalls of a trial and assured them that their state attorney would try this case, they elected to proceed with a negotiated settlement which might lead them to the remains of their loved one. And I say to them today, that's courageous, and I respect that. But I also say that this was the deal. Partial remains of Tricia have been taken to the medical examiner's office. The plea negotiation was to take law enforcement to the body and remains of Miss Williams. If Mr. Williams breaks the terms of that plea agreement, we specifically incorporated into that plea agreement the understanding that he is subject up to life in prison. There will be no withdrawal of the plea. Quite frankly, what I will say to you here today is we also created a provision within the plea. An addendum to the plea offer was that if he should elect to withdraw his plea or challenge his sentence and judgment on direct appeal, this case will come back and we will have the benefit of utilizing the evidence we've discovered out here. And I will put this man on a slow bus to death row, because in the end, Jenna, the answer to your question is yes, of course. This is a premeditated murder. And so I conclude my statement by simply saying it's an unfortunate reality of this business that on occasion you must make a deal with the devil, and I made a deal with the devil. So I'll take your questions.
Do you regret anything, Tom?
Yeah, I don't. I mean, on a personal level, of course, because in my mind, it's not a full measure of justice. But I have to sacrifice that for the wishes of the family. Okay, so if it was Sheriff Snyder, he indicated to the family that he agreed wholeheartedly and that's how they should proceed. I, as a family member, may have taken a different position, but at the end, it's got to be their wishes. Because I will go on now to my next case, but they will live with Tricia's absence forever. And so you must defer to the victims. It's a constitutional requirement. And so there's a part of me that does, but there's also a part of me you have to remember. This would have been after a trial. There's a very good possibility based upon the evidence that we have that he was convicted of manslaughter. And then the position I would be in is he would be looking at 15 years in prison and no closure for Tricia's family. So that's a big gamble. And if you put yourself in their position, you might say to yourself, it was a good deal. And the truth of the matter is, as you reflect upon it from what we knew at the time, it was a good deal.
Frustrating.
Yeah, well, this job is frustrating. Every day this job frustrates me to the point of exhaustion. So yeah, it's frustrating. And I'm supposed to repeat the questions, I'm sorry. So she said, is it frustrating? Yes, it's frustrating. Yes.
To be clear though, you said the deal was to take you guys to the body. We don't have a body, we have a very small portion of the body. What does that mean for this plea deal? Right,
so the question is, the deal was take us to the body / remains of Tricia Todd Williams, okay? So if that's not what he did, then we may be able to argue, and again, I'm not going to go into that because that's going to be something relative to future court proceedings, but I think we have a certain good faith basis that the negotiated plea called for the recovery of Tricia's body for her family. And if a court determines that he did not do that, then that potentially negates the deal and subjects him to possible life in prison.